Hi, Satanico here once again with Godlovescomics, and I'm back today with one small package right here, and it has just a few comics from a single title in it, but I think they're pretty cool comics. Here's the problem. See that right there? That's how it arrived. See that right there? Can see right into the comics. Now, I blame the post office for this, of course, and I don't see any damage to the comics whatsoever, but pretty risky packaging, I would say. This is, he paid for priority mail, put it in this pretty cool envelope that says Stash Box Comics, which I don't think is a brick and mortar store, but it may be. I think it's probably just sort of a mail order thing out of somebody's house. But I ordered these off of Facebook, and this guy had a whole run of this title, or not a complete run, but a lot of issues of this title, and this one of the iconic comics of all time, and there were a lot of expensive issues that he was selling, and I bought, of course, the least expensive, but I hope he didn't package the others or packages the remaining issues that he sells like this, because this little window right here, obviously, first of all, somebody's looking in there, they tore it, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, but easily these comics could have came out and sort of gotten bent or damaged if they had slid a little bit. There's just two pieces of cardboard here. But, and I did take pictures of this, on my phone so I can just send it to him. I'm not sending to complain or, because looking at the comics from the side, I don't think they've been damaged at all. I just think it's, maybe a little risky not to have like a side panel of cardboard, or to fold this cardboard down and seal it, with some tape or something, just so this is just not paper right here so it tears. But other than that, not a big deal. And so let's just tear into this. I don't remember exactly, probably 6 or 7 comics, not very many, but with shipping, this package cost me $60, which is unusual large expense for me. I have one more package on the way, and then probably not going to order any comics anytime, going to try to have a little bit of a moratorium. It's not that I ordered that many, it's just that, still shouldn't be too extravagant. And also, I've got a lot of other stuff that I can show and do videos on and talk in depth. But let's go ahead and take these out and get right to them. And right off the bat, beautiful, beautiful. Let's put these others. Okay, he has this taped. This is even worse. He put these, they're all bagged and boarded, but then he just put a piece of tape around them, and there's his logo again. I don't know. That doesn't seem too bright. It's not going to do any favors to this, any favors to the bags or the boards, or primarily bags. But, okay, no big deal. So, right off the bat, you're looking at Amazing Spider-Man 55. Now I'm going to get tape on everything. Wow, this was really dumb. Sorry, but to put the tape like that, see, the bag is already, the tape hole on the bag. Really dumb packaging for, yeah, I'm going to have to, I would probably change these bags out anyway, but I mean, really dumb packaging, because you're talking about, 12-cent Amazing Spider-Man 55. And it just seems pretty capricious, or I don't know if that's the right word, but not very smart. But I've seen this cover before online a few times. I always thought it was really eye-catching. Doc Ock. Don't remember what these were graded. This is probably very good. It's really nice and flat. It's got a little bit of a corner tear there. Very nice and flat, and the cover still looks really nice. The back is nice, and the real joy of these comics over, say, reprints is being able to see the ads that were in them. You know, Norman Rockwell in the back here. The letters column, which usually a lot of times had some famous people writing into them, or, you know, eventual famous comics writers, sometimes literary writers, sometimes other artists. So that should be interesting. And I believe this is a John Romita issue. Looks like it. And get a nice look at the art. America's best TV comics are here. These were TV comics. Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Casper, Journey to the Center of the Earth. I don't remember that. King Kong, I don't really remember that. George of the Jungle, sort of. The Beatles, I don't really remember the Beatles, but, you know, having their own animated series. But, I mean, I vaguely think I've heard of it, but I don't remember ever seeing it advertised or come on TV. So, anyway, pretty cool. And it's like a really nice issue. Some sort of classic John Romita art. Love his J. Jonah Jameson and his Robbie Robertson, and also love the way he drew the hair on Osborn, whichever one it was, Harry, I think. Yeah, so there's the title right there, the title page, Doc Ock Wins, produced by Stan Lee and John Romita, inking by Mickey DeMeo. I'm not particularly familiar with. Even though, actually, that might be Mike Esposito. I'm not sure. Maybe Mickey DeMeo is an actual inker. Because Mike Esposito was using a pseudonym at a point for some issues. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. And one more page. Doc Ock, Spider-Man, all of that interesting stuff. But that is Amazing Spider-Man number 55. As I said, looks sort of like, I would say maybe, I mean, certainly good, maybe very good. Not bad, looks good. And next up, let's go backwards. Oh, okay. Well, boy, the way he taped this is not really good. Okay, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 190. If you watched last video, I think I had, was it 189, I believe, which also had John Byrne art, and this has a Keith Pollard and Alan Milgrom cover. I just wanted the second, you know, issue to the Man-Wolf saga, so I went ahead and bought this. This looks like this is in very, very fine to near mint. I don't see any blemishes, bends, creases, anything of the sort. Really nice tight corners, everything. So I would say that's very close to near mint, at least in the bag. And nice Amazing Spider-Man 142 with Mysterio. It's not possible. Nobody could do that. Wrong, Webhead. Anything is possible for a dead man, including taking off the snow globe that he wears as a head. Mysterio means madness. And really nice provocative cover. I think still maybe Romita art, but I'm not sure. Maybe Ross Andrew. Maybe Romita doing the cover. Feels really nice. Yeah, it's in really nice shape. Easily very fine, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Ross Andrew was doing the cover. I think that's a Romita cover. Ross Andrew on the interior art with Frank Aisha and Dave Hunt. And Ross Andrew was consummate professional as well. Didn't draw, had a nice style. It wasn't too boring, wasn't spectacular, but he usually could deliver the goods, and he was a pretty good follow-up to Romita. After Romita, of course, followed Ditko. And Gil Kane did some of these covers and some of the art, and some Spider-Man as well. I don't remember whether I got any Gil Kane issues, but we'll find out soon enough. And hopefully you're seeing a lot of ads, but there we go. Some of Ross Andrews, Mary Jane Watson, another ad, and good stuff. Strangely evil looking Aunt May there. Well, that must be Mysterio, of course. Doing a little bit of Psycho. Okay, let's see, empty board. And then we have 141. Prelude to 142, and that is by John Romita, and sort of all of Spider-Man's rogues gallery at the time. Great Morbius, the Vulture, who I always sort of liked, Doc Ock, and Mysterio again. And probably Ross Andrew art again in the center. And there is 140. I didn't know that I got all three of these. And I'm not sure if that's Romita. They're all sort of following, per se, a formula or a template, but there was a certain sort of look that they all stuck to. Obviously Ditko was very eccentric, both as an artist and as a person. And then Romita came along and sort of mainstreamed, the look. And he was also the art director at Marvel, so I think there was certainly a dictum of staying consistent to his look even after he left. This is Ross Andrew again. Ross Andrew still has some idiosyncrasy in his style as well, though. And this was when it was edited by Roy Thomas. So he had taken over for Stan Lee and was basically doing almost the entire, or maybe I think the entire Marvel line. Stan was just a titan in terms of editing, plotting, and just keeping track of so many titles. And eventually he was kind of burning out. He was kind of wanting to get involved in Hollywood and everything else. And Roy Thomas took over and had the same just outrageously overwhelming job of editing almost all of Marvel's titles. I think Roy eventually burned out as well. I think they brought in Marv Wolfman and Lim Wein. But it's pretty amazing what Stan Lee, Roy Thomas were able to accomplish in terms of editing, in terms of writing so many titles. And it's like a nice book, really nice artwork by Ross Andrew. It was always an artist I respected, and nice cover. Almost looks a little bit like the famous cover, was it with Green Arrow, where Spidey was shooting up. There's a little bit of hint of that, even though it's nothing to do with that. It's not one of the drug issues. Spider-Man famously had a drug issue. I want to say around 97, 98, issue 97, 98, but I'm really not good at remembering stuff like that, so I'm not sure. But it was very famously not comics coded, and because there was drug use in it. Although I think there was kind of a mandate to have a nice moral message about, hey kids, don't do drugs, but I haven't seen that issue particularly. So, and this is Amazing Spider-Man 127, and again some more of Spidey's sort of rogues gallery. I mean, with the Vulture, and then obviously Green Goblin, Mary Jane Watson with her very cool, very hip outfit with the bell bottoms and the heels and whatever, the crazy halter top. And I remember Todd McFarlane talking about this, and he said that, you know, his big success and his big innovation on Spider-Man, I'm not knocking Todd. Todd's a talented enough guy, but on Spider-Man was to come in, and they had been drawing characters for the same since the 70s. You know, the Mary Jane and Gwen, you know, had the same bangs and the same hair, and they were still dressing like they were from the 60s and 70s. And he came in and gave them feathered bangs and a perm, and, you know, these things which were relatively superficial alterations. But, I mean, you know, he did certainly liven up the atmosphere. But for my money, these costumes, I mean, it would be pretty funny to see a girl dressed like this these days. But, I mean, it's also pretty cool, pretty hip, pretty interesting, visually interesting. So probably a lot more interesting than a lot of the modern clothing you see. And this is really nicely drawn by Rossandro again and Gaishan Hunt again. So a lot of 98-pound weakling advertisements. Even though this is an earlier issue than the ones we were just looking at in the 140s, it seemed to be even a little bit better work from Rossandro. Maybe he wasn't so overwhelmed, or maybe he was trying a little bit harder. It's all good, but I like his kind of sassy Mary Jane Watson there, even though it's hard to ever draw her as sexy and stylishly as John Romita. And some quality storytelling as well. I believe this is written by Jerry Conway. No, yes, it is Jerry Conway. And interesting story about Jerry Conway is that he started writing as a teenager, I believe at age 14 and a half or something like that, or at least that's when he decided he wanted to be a comics writer, because he saw that Jim Shooter was a comics writer at age 13, and when he found out that Shooter was writing at age 13, he was about 14 at the time and realized he could do this too. Somebody his own age was actually working in comics, and they both pulled it off and have had incredibly lengthy careers. Shooters has been sort of all over the place. I don't know what Jerry Conway is doing at the moment, but I assume he's still writing. And that's 123, another really nice issue, and actually in really good condition. I would say very fine. Don't see too many blemishes. Nice flat cover. There's John Romita's signature right there, his initials. And I bought it because I like the cover, and obviously Luke Cage is pretty cool. And inside, this is another reason I bought it. This is Gil Kane and John Romita. So, two absolute titans of Marvel, particularly Marvel's Silver Age and early Bronze Age. And the artwork is terrific. I like it a lot. Really nice Luke Cage. J. Jonah, of course. And this issue is in really good condition. As I said, probably very fine. And you see ad for Vampire Tales with Morbius. And I think he had the first appearance of Morbius. He had the first appearance of pretty much everyone. It was a very significant run of Spider-Mans they was selling. Amazing Spider-Man. Probably, I don't know, 200 issues. I think it went back to, I think the earliest one was maybe number 4. But look it up. But anyway, another really nice issue. And relatively short, very short letters page today. Oh, yeah, Norman Osborn. Like I said, Harry. And this is kind of interesting, this advertisement. Fear Lives, the Haunt of Horror. 164 pages of chilling prose fiction. It's a magazine, but it has prose from Fritz Lieber, Harlan Ellison, Anne McCaffrey, and Ron Goulart, and Dennis O'Neil. And then it had artwork from Frank Kelly Frias, who was a really famous cover artist for science fiction books in that era. Gene Colan, of course, the original, or not the original, but one of the classic Daredevil artists, and worked on a lot of other titles, of course, and including Dracula. Frank Bruner, who worked on most notably Doctor Strange, but I think also Howard the Duck, and Walt Simonson. Everybody knows him, primarily from Thor, but he also did Star Wars and tons and tons of other Marvel comics, X Factor. Really nice issue. Happy to have it. These are in nice shape, and this is it. Last one. I'm going to take this out of the bag as well. This guy has got his own backing boards. I'll say stash box. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, I guess it's not on everyone. This says a good 2.0. I think this is the one I'm holding, which is Amazing Spider-Man 57. And I like this cover, and I like the fact that it's Kazar. I thought it was rather funny as well, because where is Zabu coming from here? Spider-Man is on a ledge. They're obviously way above the street. Spider-Man is on this ledge. Kazar is coming in from the left. Zabu's coming in from the right. Kazar was over here on this ledge. Sneak attack. What did Zabu do? How did he get over here? Did he take the elevator up by himself? I mean, you know, he's a relatively smart saber-toothed tiger. But still, it's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, so unless Kazar, and by the way, I mean, what did people think of Saber-Tooth Tiger taking the elevator up or taking the stairs? You know, it's a little bit bizarre, but okay. Anyway, I thought it was kind of funny, but you see somebody circled this with a little bit of magic marker. The spine is pretty beat up. There's a lot of damage on the corners here, so this is just rated as a good 2.0. That seems about right. A little bit of soiling, I mean a white cover. So I didn't expect this to be in terrific shape by any stretch. Well, really nice. We get to see his name. Not the dealer, but whoever originally owned this comic, probably. Eric Frawley. So, Eric Frawley, I should look you up on Facebook and tell you that I have your comic. You paid 12 cents for it, and I probably paid, I don't know. I think I may have paid maybe $10 for this. It's probably still an okay deal. This is Stan Lee and Johnny Romita. Jazzy John Romita, I should say. But Don Heck finished some of the penciling, and Mickey DeMeo again. Sam Rosen lettering. And really nice, sort of a classic page of Kazar in a three-piece suit, walking a saber-toothed tiger. Maybe this explains how this cover happened. Maybe Kazar went into the office building. He seems like quite a bit of a celebrity here. Someone's calling him a noble savage. And so maybe Kazar actually did walk into the building, take the elevator up, strip down to his skivvies, jump, well, there he is. So far I'm predicting how the story's going exactly. And even have Zabu riding in a cab. And then he hopped over to the other ledge, and so Zabu and he could ambush Spider-Man, at least on the cover. And John Romita, who spent his whole career, or not his whole career, his early career, drawing romance comics, certainly draws handsome men, just as he draws beautiful women. And, well, we're finding out. And Kazar jumped out of J. Jonah Jameson's window. There were always the flagpoles, the convenient flagpoles for heroes to swing on and bounce around on. Not just Spider-Man, but Captain America and other guys when they were jumping out of buildings. And there we go. Roped himself a Spider-Man. Nice pages by Romita, and I guess to some degree Don Heck, and Mickey DeMeo. Okay, somehow Zabu enters this fight. I'm not sure where. Okay, so they're fighting in the skies. They're fighting on these, fighting on all kinds of television poles and flagpoles and all of this stuff and vines and everything else. And finally they come to ground. Finally, they come to the earth. Probably Central Park. There's a lake right there, and that gives Zabu a chance to enter the fight. Knocks Spider-Man into the water. Well, that's strange. Zabu was so impressive, he knocked Spider-Man unconscious, and Kazar dove in to save him. Because Kazar is not really a villain, he's a hero. So, the battle is ended forever. Zabu, you sought to protect your master. But what of the one called Spider-Man? Okay. Never have I faced so powerful, so agile a foe. Although you could not have known, I did not desire your aid. The victory should have been won by Kazar alone. But what of the masked one? He does not appear. Can it be a trap, or I must plunge below and see? So, Spider-Man was about to drown. Would have been an early end to the series, or at least an end to Peter Parker. And Kazar rescued him. So, bit odd that Zabu was able to somehow knock Spider-Man unconscious. You would think he might scratch him, but no, somehow just knocked him unconscious. Whatever. Sheer naked force. For any mere human to dodge his senses shattering attack, and so splash. But Spider-Man's not a mere human, but it worked anyway, so whatever. Really nice issue. There's a tear right there. This corner. And that's pretty annoying. I don't think it's going to help, so I'm just going to take that little piece off. There you go. And that's listed as a 2.0. So we've got, to recap, issue 57. Let's not get any tape tears on these. Issue 123 with Gil Kane and John Romita. Issue 127, which I think is Romita cover and Andrew art. Issue 140. Issue 141. Issue 142 with Mysterio. Issue 190, far and away the latest issue I purchased in this batch. And finally, number 55, with Doc Ock And so that's the Spider-Man batch from Stashbox Comics. As I said, a dealer online on Facebook. And I'm happy with all of the grades. They're pretty much as expected. That one, as I said, was near mint. These others, these sort of in the mid 140s, 100s, are all in actually really nice shape. Very fine for the most part. 123 is still very fine. And this is probably the worst one in terms of being, in terms of grade. 2.0 is what he had it as. That seems accurate. 1.5, 2.0. I wouldn't say it's any more above that. It's missing a little tiny piece in the corner. A lot of stress. Nice issue still. I like it. Nice work inside. And these are some of the older comics I purchased. And I've got another very interesting batch coming. It's probably about the same size, maybe a few more, and a little bit cheaper, but it should be very interesting to look through. So I'll do another video when that happens, and that's pretty much it for this Spider-Man batch of Spider-Man haul, whatever you want to call it. Amazing Spider-Man, and mostly some Silver Age and Bronze Age. So if you like these comics, tell me all about it, and I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks very much, and thanks for watching.